Knockout Legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. So today I want to talk about Jack the Cat Catterall. He appears on Talksport and gets interviewed by the Talksport panel. So I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to get back into it afterwards. So with no further ado,
as well as listen to it, Jack Catterall has just strolled into the studio after easing to a unanimous points win over Jorge Linares in Liverpool just over a week ago. Jack, you're always welcome. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you, very well.
Good to see you. How did it work out for you that night? It seems that you won and you won well. This was a great performance against Linares.
Yeah, I felt like a cruise to a comfortable victory. Three-weight world champion, 4 world titles. So I was pleased with the fight. I'm always expecting more of myself, but comfortable win, and hopefully now we can push on to some big fights.
What is the plan for you, Jack, like sort of moving forward now? What is the roadmap, let's say, over the next 12 months? I mean, there's that controversial loss that you had to Josh Taylor, and we've got to bring that up because I know it's a fight that you are still chasing. We don't know where you're at with that. Is it a world title you're looking for? Is it a return with Josh Taylor? I mean, where are you at?
You know what it is, Spence? I've always dreamed and had aspirations of being a world champion, but the fans are demanding the fight. Constantly getting stopped in the streets still to this day. When is the fight happening? So I think it's a fight that still needs to be settled. But aside from Taylor, there is a lot of big fights in the division for me.
I mean, Simon, you was quite strong that you felt that Jack Catterall won that fight and won it quite comfortably. And we wanted to see the rematch, didn't we?
Of course, Jack won the fight. I think most people besides Josh recognise that. And I think probably in the deep, dark recesses of his mind, Josh recognises it. And that's why he gets so irritated and irritable whenever the conversation comes up. And that's why he's got the needle with me, because I pushed him into a corner last time round saying, you're going to fight this kid again, right? You're not going to duck him. You're going to fight him this time. I know ducking is the word that you mustn't use in certain spaces and places. But notwithstanding that, I think that Josh Taylor going into that fight, and I thought rightly so to some extent, because of Jack's standing in the fight, in the fight world at that particular time, was very disdainful and contemptuous. And I saw the gloves are off and I saw the attitude, and it was one of basically, you're there to make up the numbers. And it was a very, very, very different fight. And it was a fight that, you know, I watched it on television because I was in Marbella at the time, but I wish I'd been at, because you felt strongly about it. Lots of people felt strongly about it. I think the only people that didn't feel strongly about it were Top Rank and some of their
three
fighters.
Judges, or two judges.
And of course the 3 judges, and 2 of the judges.
You still feel you won that fight fair and square, Jack?
Yeah, I think, well, definitely I believe I won the fight, and I think everyone in the planet, apart from Josh, like we said, the judges are maybe Top Rank, but yeah, I believe I won the fight.
I mean, fed up talking about it?
Yeah, it comes with the territory. Naturally, people are going to speak about it still, and it seems still relevant to this day. Every interview, every fight night, people are bringing it up. So
I think you know where Josh Taylor's at is like what he achieved, and it sort of went unrecognised. Really, becoming undisputed lightweight champion, doing it on the road in the other guy's backyard, and his legacy's an incredible one, and he's going to be remembered for the fight that he had with Jack Catterall, and so I think that he needs to go over that ground again. He needs to give Jack the opportunity, because I think it will tarnish his legacy, and he'll be, some of those big fights and big wins that he's had.
Do you think it's more likely, given the fact that he's now lost to Teofimo Lopez, do you think it's more likely? Because everybody thought, I mean, obviously one of the things that Jack would have lost out on was the ability to have all the belts. Yeah. That's gone. That's never coming back again, right? And that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that's the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And the reasons why I was very disappointed with Josh Taylor is because of the controversy. And he can say, that one's done, I'll move on. But Carl Froch didn't when the George Groves, I know that it got elevated, and I got elevated up to a 90,000 or 80,000, whatever Carl tells us it is, 80,000 stadium at Wembley. But that one got sorted out. And we always knew that there was an element of Josh struggling at the weight and wanting to go up a weight class. But I do think, in the pursuit of fairness and equity, which very rarely happens in sport, that this is one that has to be ticked off.
I agree.
I don't know if it goes the same way, Jack, honestly, because this time around he'd be a bit better prepared for you. But notwithstanding that, I still think it's a question that needs to be answered.
Well, I think you've got to look
properly.
I think you've got to look at recent performances, and he hasn't looked particularly good since that fight, if I'm totally honest.
Well, it's one fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying he moved up to 147, didn't look particularly good. I know that he said that he was struggling at 140. I think you agreed, didn't you, to do a catch weight, maybe 143,
That's what I thought,
143, 144 or something like
the
that.
last fight with Lopez again at 140. He talked about moving up in the aftermath of our fight. Yeah. That didn't happen. 18 months later, he's still at 140.
Yeah.
But I believe the move up in weight at a catch weight will benefit me just as much as it'll benefit Josh. And I do believe next time round it's going to be a big problem for him.
And deep down, Jack, you still feel that you won that fight on the night.
I won that fight, no questions asked.
Yeah. You and Taylor don't exactly see eye to eye, do you? I take it you don't like him.
No, listen, it become personal after the fight. He said a lot of things, a lot of direct messages. There's been a lot of back and forth. I don't hold stuff too personal in the sport of boxing. It's a business, but I guess with me and Taylor, it has become a bit personal. But aside from him, there is a lot of good fights to be made.
Listen, there is
there are. So if it's not Taylor, who would you, in an ideal world, who would you want to go in with next?
So you've got Teofimo Lopez. I know he's asking for 10 million for the fight, which is ridiculous. But you've got Ryan Garcia, the winner of Devin Haney, Regis Prograis. There's a bucket full of names.
There's some big names.
So from the clip there, there's a lot to unpack. The panel gives their introduction to Jack Catterall and asks him a few pertinent questions. First off, it's mostly just an introduction because he beat Jorge Linares. He's passed him pretty comfortably in a fairly competitive fight, even though Linares is pushing on a bit, but still decent, good fighter at that level, even though a little bit faded, but still gave him problems near to the home stretch. But he won. Anyway, the questions that get asked are by Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver, and they want to know if the Josh Taylor rematch is a fight that Catterall is actually craving for, I should say. But I get the sense that Catterall will fight him, and I think he will, because he's that type of guy, because of obviously the bad blood that happened, not on his end, but more on Josh Taylor's end, and the arrogance that Josh Taylor kind of showed him in the lead up to the fight, kind of like obviously probably gave him the needle. So there is a little bit of I won't say a grudge, but there's something there because of the way Josh Taylor is. We saw it in the Teofimo Lopez fight as well, in the run up to it. He's highly irritable, you know. Maybe it's just the Celt in him, the Scotsman warrior. But anyway, the other questions that get asked are basically if that's the best fight and what the fight would get made at. Now, I heard Eddie Hearn in another video that I made. He alluded to the fact that the fight could be at a catch weight, but he'd have to speak to Jack about that to see if he'd be okay with that, and obviously if Josh would be on board with that. But at this point, from the last fight with Teofimo Lopez, I don't know if he'd want to come back down a little bit of a weight and then fight Catterall, because Catterall kind of gave him hell in the last fight that he had with him. So I reckon he'd have more of the same. And to be fair, I'm not saying he's past it, but I think the jump up and then the change of trainers and leaving certain trainers and training with other trainers, he kind of lost the step of how he fights. And it's kind of tempered the way he fights, in the sense that the aggression is a good thing, but he used it pretty smart in the fight with Prograis, where he unified. There kind of was none of that in the Teofimo Lopez fight, and I don't even think in the Catterall fight, to be fair, he kind of just went like a bull in a china shop, and he kind of messed up. And I think he didn't take Catterall serious in that fight. He kind of like dismissed him and thought he could probably just fight in a certain gear, and then basically got showed up. But Jack is really good. He's a good fighter. He's a good counter fighter and a good boxer as well. So maybe Taylor should have used attributes a little bit more. But if they have the rematch, I think that's what would actually happen. He would use his attributes a little bit more. Now, when he was with Shane McGuigan, he fought the best he could actually fight, and I think that was a trainer he should have stuck with, because he still had that aggression, but it was smart aggression, and then he used his attributes as well, wherein like he could, pot shot people off and counter and use the jab as well. But I don't know. In the rematch with Catterall, if they have one, I kind of favour Catterall. I still favour Catterall in the sense that I think maybe Josh is maybe just shy of a couple more fights on his way out of the door. Like maybe, you know, the Teofimo Lopez fight, he kind of looked jaded. He looked faded. He looked old. Teofimo Lopez made him look old. So I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22 this fight, because if he loses this fight, if he takes it, where does he go from here, Josh Taylor? I'm not saying he's done, but you know, who is he going to really fight after that? And because of the way he fights, not that many people want to fight him. So obviously the rematch with Catterall is the smart money, but in the sense for career longevity, is it the smart move? So anyway, with Catterall getting asked other questions by Simon Jordan agrees that obviously Catterall beat Josh Taylor, and obviously because he used the words ducking, Josh Taylor kind of fell out with him and whatnot. But it's funny when they use the word ducking, they never use that for Fury, even though certain Talksport panel members do hold him to task. Some don't. They kind of let him get away with his tomfoolery and his negative way of doing things when it comes to making fights. And also, in a way, they're a bit easy with Fury and Fury's camp, you know. But with some other people, they're a little bit more harsh and a bit more hold them to task and put them over the fire, over the hot coals, and call them to account. So there is a bit of bias in certain people that they interview and certain people that they have on the panel, I think. But anyway, Jack was then asked about who else he would fight in the division. To be honest, no one's going to really want to fight Jack because he's a hard fighter to fight and there's not really nothing in it. Also, they are going to want mad money, because when he was talking about Teofimo Lopez and he wants, I think, 10 million, what do you expect? That's a hard fight. You're a hard fight, and there's no actual reward in that fight, so no one's going to fight you. So you probably are better off chasing the Josh Taylor fight and probably calling him out and just, you know, get under his skin. It's pretty easy. Just wind him up about the Teofimo Lopez, like, you know, loss, and say what you would do to Teofimo Lopez. Plus, it's a double-edged sword. You can still get the Teofimo Lopez fight by giving him credit, but then saying that you'd beat Teofimo Lopez easy and do what Josh Taylor couldn't do, and then also get on the Josh Taylor skin and get the Josh Taylor fight. Or by saying that you beat Teofimo Lopez because Josh Taylor couldn't do it, you'd still get that fight and maybe you'd come down in the price. But anyway, that's just a strategy what I think would actually work. But anyway, tell me what you think about the interview and how Catterall should proceed with his career. Leave your comments in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe. And that is another one from Knockout Legends. Peace.